Hello, ladies and gentlemen of District 31. My name is Daniel DiNardo. I'm standing for election to the House of Representatives for the state of Alaska, and I'm a member of the Alaskan Independence Party. I'm one of the few bona fide members of the Alaskan Independence Party, which is really an association. It's the only group of Alaskans that are not incorporated. We don't believe in communist corporations. All corporations are communistic. Capitalism is communistic. If you don't believe me, read Marx's Das Kapital. Read the writings of Lenin. All this corporate structure, all this perpetual debtor-creditor relationships in this society means one thing: communist corporationism. What I want to talk about briefly is the financial crisis that you see in the press, on your TV, that's starting to take up a great deal of your mind and destroy your peace of mind. Because, see, this has been many decades in the making. Ever since 1982, in fact, the plan was to eventually crash the markets, the equity and the commodity markets, and to throw tremendous numbers of people out of work worldwide, to confiscate all property in the world. And that's exactly what's taking place through the communist-controlled Federal Reserve and all of its minions like Bernanke and Greenspan and the Bushes and all of these communist politicians. And remember something, all of these politicians that are performing these acts willfully all belong to communist corporations. The Republican group is a corporation. The Democrats are a corporation, and all corporations are communistic. If you have any basic understanding, you will understand what I'm talking about, or I suggest strongly that you do some research on your own, particularly reading the writings of Lenin. He will explain it to you very clearly. That's why Communist Party members refer to each other as corporators. That's why they have oligarchs. That's why they always had a central banking system exactly like the United States, England, France, Germany, you name it. They all have the same central control for a perpetual debtor-creditor system. Now, what you see being worked out in front of you is, in fact, the largest confiscation of property in the history of the world. All of this legislation that's going down right now in the emergency basis is just like the legislation that you saw in 9/11 that took away all of your freedoms, all of the justice that you could ever seek in these so-called courts. It has now been obliterated. All of your rights and property are now permanently obliterated. This is a total change in what I would refer to as criminal globalism. It's the final ensconcing, putting into power a body of business practices and principles based on the communist Marxist Leninist dialectic. It's called the international law merchant. I advise you to do some research so that you understand the new world order that you're going to be living in, and that you've been actually living under it for quite a while, but they depend on crises to make fundamental and important steps forward, because in crises there is no resistance, and your so-called elected representatives representing the corporate communist parties, they are able to do what Stalin and Beria and Lenin and Trotsky and all of these communist party members, Primakov, Gorbachev, Yeltsin, Putin, Medvedev, they're all corporate communist politicians, and they're very adept at it. Nobody in the world is better than the Soviet capitalists, because they are the ones that were really the first to bring it to its full bloom. And you saw it through the historical record, and it's something that's occurring right now, the murder of tens of millions of human beings to achieve their ends. If it's not the murder, then it's the incarceration and perpetual torture of human beings such as yourself, your family, your friends, your extended family, and prepare yourself for it, because there's no way you can avoid it. The only way is through a revolution to reestablish Republican principles, and that's what Daniel DiNardo plans when he enters the legislature, is to call for a constitutional convention to overthrow the communist movement sponsored and manipulated by the International Bar Association, by the international bankers, by the international corporations in all of its many forms. And you tell me, do you work for a corporation? Do you belong to a corporate party? Do 99.9% of your purchases come through a corporation? Do corporations make 99.9% of the products you consume? You better believe it. That's why you're getting cancer. That's why you suffer such anxieties, because you do not understand the fundamental principles that our forefathers, starting back in the 17th century with the Pilgrims, all the way through 1789 into the American Civil War, and it died after that Civil War. That's when the Communist Bankers Party took over this country and basically took over the world. What I'm going to do in my next seminar, based on these same principles, is teach you what is going to be happening, what you need to do in order to increase your wealth, to get out from under it and prepare for an independent republic in Alaska, and to take up the responsibility that you are charged with. I will talk to you again immediately, so please stay tuned to YouTube and tune in. Thank you very much.